Hey everyone, welcome to the Wednesday afternoon live stream. Hope everybody's doing good. I see, of course, Casey5181 over there on Twitch in chat who helps us run everything here. We've got Kit. Say hi.
Hi. Hey, guys.
Oh, dang it, the camera's off center again. Hold on. God, I can't stand it there. Oh, no, that's the wrong one. Anyway, Harper's not here today. He was sick, so he had to stay home. So I'm running the cameras, so it'll be a disaster, I'm sure. I see Reagan Radio Star over on YouTube. Glenn88, Judson Leach, Tuman Official, of course. Tylo Production, hey, what's going on? Harlesbish Quinn. There's Michael Caru. Oh, man. I'm never gonna get these names right. Not as well. I see everybody coming on. Thanks, I appreciate it. Hey Jeff, what's going on? Oh, from Patagonia, Argentina. Wow, cool. Yeah, I was telling my brother. My brother doesn't know anything about live streaming or anything. He's like, "You mean there's people from all over the world watching?" I'm like, "It's live streaming, man. Come on." So today I'm going to be talking about my favorite albums, or actually albums that changed my life or affected my whole career and my musical direction. It was actually inspired by a video I just put out. I just did a video about the Prince documentary that got canceled on Netflix, and I heard about this a couple of weeks ago, and I looked into it. I was like, it's really interesting. So I actually literally just posted up a video about that. But in the process of doing that, I was trying to find my old Purple Rain album, which I know I had somewhere, and I couldn't find it. So I spent, like 2 hours looking for my Purple Rain album, and I couldn't find it anywhere. But I found all these other albums and started pulling them out, and I was like, oh, man, just really thinking about their importance on, to my life and how it affected everything. And also, I had somebody actually send me a turntable. It's this thing right here. This is like, what is this, an Angel?
Oh, yeah. I suppose we should have...
Angel's Horn.
Angel's Horn, yeah. I suppose let me find a link for them so that we can share that. Yeah,
put up the link. And it's like, they hit me. I'm like, do you want a turntable? I'm like, sure. And they're like, could you put it in a video? I'm like, sure. And then they started emailing me like, oh, I guess I really need to like feature this thing. And I've kind of put it in there a little bit. And I might play some records today, just short parts. It'll demonetize me. So on the playback for the live stream, I'll have to take it out, or I'll get the video. We'll get a copyright claim and all that. But I might play a little bit while we're going through it today. But
hey, Craig Bird over there on Twitch, first time chat. Welcome.
Hold on. And I didn't actually eat before the stream, so hold on. But if everybody could go watch the video, I'd really appreciate it and kind of get the views up and kind of keep that whole thing going. I think that's about it. I think I can start on the whole story here. Kid, are you ready?
You keep asking me this. What do you expect that I need to have done?
Are you nervous?
No.
Oh, okay. Just checking. I am. So I'm just going to start. I tried to line these up in some sort of logical order, but it was just, I don't even understand my history, so all of it is a little confusing. But I'm going to start at the beginning. Like what was the first music that I listened to that just really affected me? And sometimes it's not just the music, it's kind of the presentation. And that would be Uriah Heep Live. My brother had this. It came out in January 1973, or at least maybe that's when the concert was, actually. I guess, yeah, that's probably from their 1973 tour. At the time, we were living in Göppingen, Germany. My dad was in the Army. And my brother, he had the stereo and he'd be jamming it. And I remember going up there and listening to this stuff and going, God, what is that? And I kind of got into it. But the thing, I've listened to this album so many times, and it was really, really inspired me. But the thing actually that was a big deal for me on this was the pictures inside. Remember, you used to have pictures? It's the thing about albums. Like, you would have a lot of artwork. And like, look at all the information. Like, there's all this stuff written, over here about the album and the tour and all that stuff. And these pictures, man, look at this stuff. Like, that's the stuff dreams are made of, right? I mean, I used to just listen to the record and stare at the pictures, and I think the things that, like, right here, there's a couple things about these pictures. What is this, Lee Kerslake? Is that how you say his name? I just remember looking at this and thinking, like, oh my God, look at the way the drums look and all that. But last night I was looking at this and I was like, is that a Neumann he's got over the hi-hats? Are they using Neumanns on a live gig? I mean, look at that. I swear that's a Neumann. I mean, who goes on tour with a Neumann? Now, you got to remember, Uriah Heep at the time, they were like international superstars. I always knew they were famous, but I remember looking them up a couple years ago, and they'd sold millions of records and, you know, had like a personal jet and stuff like that. I mean, look at that. The other picture in here that was like a huge impact on me was this. Now, is that a rock star or what? Look at that. Look at that. I always wanted to be that guy, but I never looked that cool. I tried, and people laughed. But, yeah, I mean, come on. And then this picture here, I actually, I had to pull this out like a couple years ago because one of my kids has long hair, and he actually looks like a rock star, and he kind of looks like this. But I always loved this picture here. I was like, oh, man, look at that. And then look at this. I always remember on this album, there's like a really good drum solo. And then he's like one of the guys had a Moog synthesizer, and he says, the Moog Simplifier. And I was like, what's a Moog Simplifier? I didn't know what the hell he was talking. Like, Moog Simplifier, what's that? You know? But this band, my brother got to see him when we moved to Berlin, Germany in like 75 or 76, and my parents wouldn't let me go because I was too young. He was probably 15 or 16 or something like that, and 3 years older than me, and they wouldn't let me go, and I wanted to go so bad. But man, this is like, I'm gonna listen to this later today. And the next one, okay, now this is like not exactly, doesn't match what the title of the live stream says. It's albums that changed my life. This did not necessarily change my life, but my brother bought this. I think it's like, this is probably original pressing. It's got an amazingly good shape. And I remember, I think this is the one. Yeah, it's got Autobahn on it. And I remember him listening to this. And I'm like, what is that crap? I mean, this stuff is terrible. Like, what are they doing? And being so kind of shocked by it. It's amazing how much stuff my brother would play and it would shock me. And then later on, it'd be like, oh, I like that stuff. But what's interesting about this album is, like, you know, later in my life, many years later, I really got into more electronic stuff. And now this, you look back at this and you go, oh, they were just way ahead of their time. God, this thing looks almost brand new. I mean, look at that. And it's funny because some of their pictures, like their marketing and all that, and then you look at the back and they just look like a bunch of dudes, you know. But it just stuck in my head. I remember listening to that and going, you know, hearing that and going like, what the heck? Now this album here, I don't know if anybody will recognize it, and this is another, there's so many things about this album that I feel are, really important. David Byron, exactly. David Byron was the singer from Uriah Heep. Okay, so this is Alice Cooper's School's Out album. Bunch of things about this album that are really important to me. One is that this is, I think, in many ways, a musical masterpiece. And the funny thing is his actual single, School's Out, I like it, but to me, it's my least favorite song on the album. He's got this whole thing on here that is, I guess it's like, it's like remakes of West Side Story, or like a derivative of it. But there's like a lot of like horns and trombones and stuff on here, and it's like the arrangements on this album are just absolutely incredible. And then I got into listening to this, I guess, a couple years ago, and especially when I was working on this board and I was doing all the work on the board, I was listening to some albums, and what struck me about this is how out of tune Alice Cooper is, but in a way that it doesn't matter. You know, he hits something and he slides up. It's just amazing. But the other thing that's cool about this is that, like, albums, like what you could do with albums, it's supposed to look like a school desk, like an old-timey school desk that goes like this. And then you can even, look, I wish we could do stuff like that. Like, it actually had the little legs, you know? So it's like You can set it down and open it up. All right. Oh, look at that. You know, I miss this stuff and the artwork, the ability to put out artwork. I mean, there were people who made careers just doing artwork for album covers. Of course, another great thing about album covers, especially the double ones or something like this, where you can bend it like that, is great for cleaning weed. Just saying, like you can do it and you roll the seeds down and then toss that in the trash. Not that I ever did that. I just heard about that. Oh yeah, the other thing that's great about this album is, once again, looking at the pictures, like look at all the stuff. He's got all this stuff inside the desk, you know? But if you ever get a chance, I would encourage everybody to go check out this album and listen to the whole thing. It's not what you would expect from Alice Cooper. It's like literally, you know, and I meant to do more research before I started this stream, but I've just been so slammed. But it's kind of like, who did the arrangements on this stuff? Just absolutely incredible. Now, this, in some ways, I guess might be controversial to certain people. And this is a Jimi Hendrix album, Crash Landing, I think they called it. And I believe that these are things that he recorded and didn't release. And then after his death, some people put it out. I'm not sure what the whole story is. But, you know, there's this thing with, you know, people that died and like Prince, you know, because there's a lot of stuff that the estate, Prince's estate, started putting out later. And it's like, well, did he really mean to put that out or whatever? And that happened a lot with Jimi Hendrix because he recorded a lot of stuff that didn't go out. I didn't know that at the time. I just started listening to this. But this album, when I was living in Berlin, Germany in 75, 74, 75, I listened to this thing all the time. And there's a song on here called Peace on the Mississippi. And, Peace in Mississippi. And I just always remember this will probably get me, I'll have to delete this later, but it's the beginning of this thing that to me is just absolutely incredible. Here we are going to the Angel Horn turntable, brought to you by Angel Horn and Colgate toothpaste. But this thing, is it on? Why isn't it playing? Oh, hold on. Did I turn it off? Hold on. Oh, come on. I tested this thing right before the stream. You got to be kidding. I can't believe, man. I can't believe it. I literally tested this 15 minutes before the stream, and now I'm trying, like, hey, folks, I'm trying to talk about your turntable. Hold on. I can't believe this thing's not working. I literally, what am I doing here? Hold on. Oh, man, I want to hear the beginning of the song. Oh, there it goes. There it goes. I think I bumped the power. But just check out the beginning of this. Oh, hold on. I think I got my speakers muted here. The beginning of this thing is always, to me, was just like, what the hell is he going to do? Is he doing? Come on, go down. Here it goes. Crazy. It's like I literally haven't pulled this album out since I don't know, God, 20, 30 years or something like that. And I actually remember all the drum fills in this thing. Absolutely incredible. There it is spinning. All right, there's the turntable. Yeah, and I'll tell you what, Jimi Hendrix, boy, I'll definitely get a copyright claim on that. They're very, very strict about this stuff, but what the hell? Anyway, there's that. But this was like a really just for like guitar tones and stuff like that, and just the pure power of it. And also, I always like the drums on this thing. In a weird way, sometimes when you hear the stuff that the artist didn't put out and that they considered like, oh, shouldn't put that out. Sometimes that's where you actually hear some really cool gems because they're maybe not being as careful or they're not overthinking things, Now next, this, oh my God, this really, really, really affected my whole life forever. And that is Emerson, Lake and Palmer's Brain Salad Surgery. And I can't tell you how many times I listened to this. I actually had a cassette of this. It was pink. And I had this little cassette deck that I basically, borrowed from my brother and never let him have it back. It had ran on big, D-cell batteries. I would walk around with this cassette player, and it wasn't even like a boombox. It's just something kind of more like a desktop thing, and I would hold it in my hand. I had this one speaker on it. I would play that cassette and flip it over, and then play it again, and flip it over, and play it again, and flip it over, and play it again, and flip it over. And this thing is just like, oh my God. This is not the Cool album, because the actual Cool album, this had this folding thing and all that. But man, and what an album cover. Geez. I could go on and on about Emerson, Lake and Palmer. I was actually going to show some of their other albums on here, but this was the one that really, really affected everything. It's crazy to think this was done in 1973. And I got to tell you, I have a remastered version of the CD, and I hate it. I feel like they tried to clean it up too much. It just doesn't sound, as cool as the old ones. But I've come back to this album time and time again throughout my life, and am blown away by it. And the other thing is that I think it's the synthesizer, the Moog synthesizer that Keith Emerson used is actually at a museum not far from where I live. Crystal, what's the name of that place?
That is the Computer Museum of America in Roswell, Georgia.
Yeah, there's this museum.
It's actually really cool.
It's huge. They put it in an old shopping mall, like an old mall. They took over a whole section of it, and it's and they got more than just computers in there. They have moon landers, one of the lunar landers, and they got all sorts of stuff in there, and it's mind blowing. And we were almost done. And
there was a section devoted to CGI and film.
Yeah, and
so cool.
They got some Cray computers in there. These massive computers that used to cost millions of dollars that are the size of this room that you could probably get for I don't know what now, and probably can't even use them. But as I'm walking out, I kind of look. Oh, they had an Enigma machine. Machine.
Yeah, that was cool.
And I'm walking out, and I look back, and I see some musical gear, and I walk over there, and it's this massive Moog synthesizer, and he's even got an Emerson, Lake and Palmer sticker on there, and he signed it somehow, and it's massive, and I think it's the one that they used on this album. To me, that was just oh my God, it's like a holy grail. But yeah, here in Roswell, Georgia, if anybody ever wants to check it out, you should go check that out. It's not far from here. Let's see. What next? What do I got next? All right. Speaking of album cover artwork, this is Uriah Heep's. What is this? Demons and Wizards? No, this is Magicians and Wizards. And is this the one with I thought this was the one with the wizard on a. He was a wizard of 1,000 dreams. I met him one night while I was wandering. But yeah, this was a real classic thing. I think this is probably the same guy that did the Yes album covers. I'm not sure. But once again, look at this. Pictures that you can just sit and look at while you're listening to it. Come on, man. Look at that. Rock stars. I mean, this is what I want. Can't I have that? Can't I be this someday just for a little while? Can't I be on stage with cool lights and do stuff like that with my long hair and have it shining through my hair and all that? But yeah, I just Uriah Heep, I can't say enough, you know. I hope there's some Uriah Heep fans out there. Next is, again, oh, it's a wonder world. Don't be afraid. Uriah Heep again. I hate to keep going on about him, but, you know, come on, man. Hold on. Actually, I kind of want to... I want to actually see what this record player sounds like. I'm just playing it through the speakers here. Now, this thing, it's got something where you can just do line output. It doesn't seem to need... Apparently doesn't need like a preamp for the tone, but I don't know if it's just because these records are old. They sounded a little thin because I only played it one other day. Like, this is only like the second time I've ever turned it on. Let's try out the beginning of this song and just see what it sounds like. Come on, go down. I think I actually have it like... Oh, there's that old pop and click. See what this sounds like. Oh, yeah, better low end on this one. Okay, I think it was just that one record. Love the bass lines on this. Of course, the drums sound like crap, but hey, if I'd made the record. Love this. Dynamics. Remember Dynamics? You could have quiet sections of songs.
We freely speak of dreams. We marvel at what they conceal, but in my wonder world, each sleeping vision is so real. So I believe and hope that all the things I see,
What years, Billy?
may one day bring such truth and peace as we can feel, free from this waking world. Deep in sleep's mystery,
Great chord progression.
my will is free to wonder carelessly. At times it's not so far from what we call reality.
Look at all the denim.
And at times I know I wonder if it all could come true.
All right. Ooh, I like that drum fill. Oh my God. Of course, you know, it sounds like they had towels over the drums, which they might have, you know. It's like funny, like that's how I used to record drums. They sounded like that. Now I listen to it's like, hey, you know, we could have had a little ring. There could have been a little ring in the drums, right? Oh, man. Oh, God.
Vertigo Pulse was asking what years?
Yeah, sorry. I meant to say that this one is... Oh, let me just look on the record. This is 74. So this is 1974. And I always like his singing so much, too. Like, he had such a cool vibrato. He would like... and it was really, you know, he actually had a very similar vibrato, David Byron, to Chrissie Hynde from The Pretenders. A very slow, you hit it, and then it kind of comes in, and this like, I never thought about that, but very similar vibrato. This Uriah Heep record is, this is 1972. Yeah, that's 72. I'll try to say the dates as we go through them. All right, now, this one wasn't necessarily one that changed my life. I just wanted to show this to kind of make a point about how music used to be different, like what could be popular and what would get the support of the music industry, and that is this. This is a Rick Wakeman solo album, and Rick Wakeman And he's still around. Actually, Rick Beato interviewed him a few months ago. And he was in Yes. And was he in King Crimson? I can't remember or not. But, kind of a legendary keyboardist. But what gets me, this is in a solo album, right? It's Journey to the Center of the Earth, right? And recorded in concert at the Royal Festival Hall, London, on Friday, January 18th, 1974, with the London Symphony Orchestra and the English Chamber Choir, conducted by David Measham, and production narrated by David Hemmings. And if you listen to it, I think they tell the whole story, like the original story of Journey to the Center of the Earth. And it's like, this was not cheap to make. Like, think about a record label going like, oh yeah, we'll do like this thing where some guy's, reading the story and they're doing this music that's Journey to the Center of the Earth. And I'm like, I'm looking at these pictures. Check this out. You would never get a label to pay for this stuff today. But yeah, like, they got telling the story here and they got these cool pictures and it's just like wacky pictures. Like, come on, there's a whole booklet. This was not cheap. Like you can't even get a record label to send you a goddamn plaque when you worked on the record and you get a platinum record and they won't even send you the damn plaque. Just saying. They want you to pay for it yourself. But, record labels, they used to actually care because record labels, even though they were still ripping everybody off, at least they cared about the art. And then I like this one. One of my favorite pictures here is like this picture of Rick Wakeman with these robes and shit. And he's like in this cavern. I mean, look at that. Whoops. I mean, I listened to this a little bit, but it was just one of those things that for me, when I was starting my music career, I always thought like, when I start making records, I'll be able to do stuff like this. Like we could make double albums and have pictures and all that. And of course, by the time I actually got into the business, that shit was gone.
Over on Twitch, welcome J322BE, which, by the way, Billy, they're saying they disagree. Those drum sounds made history.
It's just like, I actually had something about it on my live stream, the Fly on the Wall that I did with Darren Stanley, because he does the whole muffled drum thing. And I was talking about, when he had like no head on the front of his kick drum. And it wasn't until like maybe 83 or 84 that I had somebody come in the studio that had bottom heads on the toms and a head on the front of the kick drum. And I thought, what is this clown doing? And then I heard it's like, oh, the drums can ring. You can have tone. But yeah, it's kind of funny. Then lately I've done a couple things where we did muffle the drums a lot. I'm like, I kind of like that, Got to throw a lot of reverb on it, though. Now, this is a record. I found this one, and it kind of hit me like I never thought about this band as being influential on me until a few years ago when I heard one of their songs like, oh, my God, I think I'm channeling some of this stuff, and that is Foghat. Fool for the city. But they had that other song that probably was because I played it in the band. It was Slow Ride. How many times did you hear, if you're older, hear Slow Ride on the radio? And it was a really long song. Like it was probably, I can't remember if it was the live version or the studio version, but it went on forever. But it's funny. I think because of the slide guitar work on here, this is from 1975. It says it was produced and engineered by Nick Jameson, and I love the names like Lonesome Dave Peverett, lead vocals, guitar, heavy breathing. Rob the Bottle Price, guitar, slide, and vocals, which I love the slide guitar work on their stuff. I mean, really. It got inside of me without me realizing it. Roger Earl, drums and percussion. It's funny. It says Roger Earl, drums and repercussion. I don't know if they were trying to be funny. I don't know if you can read that or not. It's a little blurry there. And then Nick Jameson, bass, keyboards, guitar, and vocals. Oh, so he also produced the record and engineered it and recorded and mixed at Sun Treader Studios. Interesting. Bearsville Records. But yeah, it's kind of interesting how you can be affected by some music and kind of not even know it, They're
saying Slow Ride was the one DJs used to get a smoke break or go potty.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Oh, I didn't have my mic on.
I'll say it again.
I noticed that folks are saying Slow Ride gave the DJs a chance to get a smoke break or go to the bathroom.
It might seem like I'm rushing through this, but I realize I kind of did like a time equation, like how much time can I talk about each record? Because I've got a stack of them back here. Now this one, I don't even know where I got this. This is Louis Armstrong, and it's I don't know when the album. What the album says. Hold on. These are really old recordings, though. It doesn't really matter when the album came out because all the recordings are really, really old. Wow, there's no date on here. Huh?
What album?
Well, it says it's Louis Armstrong, the original When the Saints Go Marching In. It just says name on it. It's probably there's something where somebody got hold of the masters and just kind of cobbled this together and put it out. And I'll play a little bit of it. But I don't, it seems funny. I remember this, and I used to listen to this all the time. And, I was into all kinds of music. I know my parents thought I was kind of crazy, and I would just blast this in the house all the time. They're like, could you not play the Louis Armstrong so loud? Hold on. But these are old recordings, man. Really, really old stuff.
I think maybe 1938 originally.
Yeah, I mean, this would have been recorded. Okay, this one is in bad shape.
My girl loves cheesecake. Oh, cheesecake, munching on the cheesecake, munching on the cheesecake. Cheesecake. Cheesecake,
you never heard this, have you?
Munching on the cheesecake.
I actually don't think
Cheesecake.
You probably didn't even know that I liked this stuff.
Gobble, gobble, cheesecake.
I mean,
Cheesecake.
part of some of my jazz
Cheesecake,
playlists
gobble,
are-
gobble, cheesecake, gobble, gobble, cheesecake.
Baby, I'm full of surprises, baby. You don't even know. You don't even know.
I might.
Are you impressed?
Totally.
Cheesecake. A cheesecake, gobble, gobble, cheesecake, gobble, gobble, cheesecake. Cheesecake. A cheesecake, gobble, gobble, cheesecake, gobble,
Okay, it
gobble,
says-
cheesecake. Cheesecake. My girl, she's...
I always wondered how he could sing that way. It says the original When the Saints Come Marching In, so I guess we'll listen to a little bit of that. Boy, this is going to get me copyright strikes for sure.
Yeah, after you edit out all your copyright strikes, this is going to be a very short video.
Yeah, it's going to be a short video. I mean, I'm not actually playing that much stuff. Hold on. Oh,
yeah, I love Glenn Miller.
yeah. Let me play. I just want to... Got some dust on it. I literally haven't pulled some of these records out. Hadn't pulled out some of these records in
yes.
decades. So here we go. Let me play this. This is When the Saints Go Marching In, or Come Marching In. God, I don't have any. I'm out of practice with the turntable. Come on down. Oh, this one goes down slow. Come on. It's sliding to the right, too. I think there's something about the... All right, here we go. Here we go.
You know, folks, I happened to pass one of them good old camp meetings the other day and run into a gang of them good old soul brothers. And them cats all come up on the stage, ran to sing and blow one. And we getting together now. I'm gonna lead off one. Yeah. Now when the saints go marching in, when the saints go marching in, round to me in that number 3, Brother Bailey and Brother Tyree, they're gonna
Yeah. And I really got into Louis Armstrong and his story. I think he was an orphan and like literally lived on the streets and somehow got hold of a trumpet and just started playing. Like his history is pretty interesting. New Orleans jazz, like that stuff is interesting because you got everybody playing, different melodies at the same time. But at the time I was in high school band and the jazz band, so we were studying this stuff, and that's why I got into this stuff. Now, this next record truly was like absolutely one of the biggest influences on me in many, 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 many ways. Peter Frampton Comes Alive. Just absolutely amazing record. I just, they were playing it on the radio all the time, and I was playing drums, and I wanted to switch to guitar, mainly because in band rehearsals as a drummer, I had a lot of ideas, but nobody would like listen to my ideas because I was the drummer. So I was like, oh, I have ideas. I'm going to switch to guitar. And I had just switched, and I had taken a couple guitar lessons, and it was so hard. And I remember that the instructor kept saying, oh, you got to keep your thumb behind the neck, because I'd play the guitar, my thumb sticking over the top of the neck, right? And they're like, no, your thumb should be back here, not sticking over the top. And I was like, I tried it. And I remember going into like a Kmart, and there was a massive poster of Peter Frampton playing. And in the picture, he clearly has his thumb over the top of the neck. And I was like, well, the hell with it, man. But the other thing that was really important is that you see how the lights are going through his hair and it makes his hair look pink? I mean, come on, man. Can't I be on stage sometime and have like cool lights coming through my hair? But the thing, about this record is it actually sounds amazing. And whenever I think of this record, I always think of that there's a song and there's like a Rhodes piano solo. And I always remember Peter Frampton going, Bob Mayo on keyboards. And I was like, oh, yeah. Cool. There's Bob Mayo right there, and there's Peter Frampton and Stanley. What is that? Sheldon, and who is the drummer again? The drummer. God, I can't read this. Hold on, my eyesight. Simos. But this is 1975, and this thing. What's interesting about him is like this was like a last-ditch effort to keep his career going, because Peter Frampton was in Humble Pie. Went and did a solo career. Things weren't going that good. So like, well, let's put out this live album. And this is the thing that blew up for him. Like it kind of saved his career. And just incredible. Like, and once again, double album, lots of great artwork on here. Oh, I actually met the guy, Chris Kimsey. Was it Chris Kimsey? Because I met him through Rick Beato once, because he was going to work with Rick, and he came to town, and I think he actually engineered and might have mixed this. He said that some of the audience sounds were dubbed in. I was like, oh, come on, man. Don't tell me that, because that was one of my favorite things about this album. He's like, well, yeah, we dubbed him in a couple spots. I was like, don't even tell me that. But he was what made me want to really play guitar. And then also the tones of his guitar, like the way it sounded, just incredible. John Denver was always really important to me. And as a matter of fact, after my first guitar lesson, I came home and wrote a little song. And then I can't remember what song it was. There's one song on this album that I actually learned by listening to the record, which is always hard for me. But John Denver, I always thought was an incredible songwriter and, musician as well. He doesn't get a lot of respect, but is one of the biggest selling artists of all time. I probably listened to this thing over and over and over and over again. This is 1977. And I just love John Denver. And it's interesting, I was working with the Infamous String Dusters, and their manager, we were trying to figure out, like, well, what are the Infamous String Dusters? Are they like bluegrass or country and all that? And he said, they're kind of like John Denver in a way. And I thought, oh, yeah, there's like an angle. Like John Denver was kind of country, but kind of pop, but he kind of fit in this middle area that was kind of undefinable, and he didn't wear the cowboy hat and didn't act all country. As a matter of fact, he won some country awards at some big country, like their version of the Grammy or whatever they call it. And people were mad about that. It's like, how can you be mad at, like, look at this guy. He's like you can't be mad at John Denver. Come on. But yeah, this was a big one for me. I listened to this a lot. This is another live album. This is Harry Chapin. And he's got that song Taxi. He also wrote that song, And the Cat's in the Cradle and the Silver Spoon. This is live. And I really got into that song Taxi. I actually like the live version of this better. He had, as you can see, there's like a cello player playing on it and really great vocalists. Like they had, it's hard to explain the way the arrangements worked. I don't even know what you would call it. But when I started playing guitar and singing way back in, this would have been like 77 or something like that, I made my little sister Lisa learn how to play drums. And, me being me, I'm kind of I push things kind of hard. So I just badgered my sister over and over and like made her rehearse drums. I actually got my little sister to learn how to play drums on the song Taxi. And we learned it and practiced it. And then we performed it for my parents, right? And everything was going good until the end when he says, taking tips and getting stoned. And at that point in time, I'd already like experimented, shall we say, but my parents didn't know. So I think that might have been the point where my parents went like, wait, what'd you just say? What's going on? I mean, my parents didn't even know what marijuana was. My brother used to plant it in the yard. And my parents would just think, oh, that's just something growing in the garden. They had no idea. But great album. And I got to tell you, it's just it's a real bummer that he died. Harry Chapin died in a taxi cab in New York City. There was a wreck and it killed him. But just an incredible live sounding album. And it really affected like my idea of songwriting too. Like his songs, they're like movies, like the lyrics. It's not just like, country songs kind of got a story and like, oh, the guy drove the truck and he went to this girl's house. His songs were like movies. Like it was like a storyteller at a campfire and you're sitting there and he just draws you in and oh my God, just incredible. Now this is the Who's Tommy. This is not their original version of Tommy. I didn't even know that there was one when I got this. This is from the movie. They made a movie. So The Who, the band The Who, in case anybody doesn't know, one of the greatest rock bands of all time, and they did, a rock opera, basically. And they did it as a band, drums, bass, guitar, vocals, with a couple overdubs. It became very popular. There was an actual movie made of it, and it had Tina Turner in it, and like a lot of stars. Like, oh my God, is Jack Nicholson in this damn movie? Holy crap, it's been so long. And I remember really Eric Clapton's in it. And then all these people redid the songs. So I remember I wasn't really that into The Who back then. I figured this was the original version. So I listened to this over and over and over again. And then I heard the original version. It's like, I think I like the other version because that's because of what I'd listened to. But this is, what year? Somebody want to know what the years of these things were. This was 1975. And yeah, it's one of those things like, oh, that's not the original version. So, but, I think the thing about this is it exposed me to a bunch of other artists that I didn't know about. Like, I didn't know much about Eric Clapton at the time, and it got me into Tina Turner because she did the Acid Queen, and oh my God, her performance in the movie is just absolutely incredible. And in a way, I actually wasn't even I didn't even know like some of the characters in the movie were in The Who. I mean, I was listening to Who, but not like that. So it's like, Keith Moon's in the movie. And I mean, I think they're all in the movie at some point. Roger Daltrey, of course, is the main guy. And I remember like watching the movie and being really affected by him, like the way he acted in the movie, and because he's like deaf, dumb, and blind, and then he wakes up and all that. That got me into The Who, which led to. Hold on, I'm a little out of order here. Where is it? Oh, where is it?
Yeah, I was surprised you talking about that because I know The Who was massive for you.
Well, isn't that kind of crazy? Like you definitely know how important The Who was for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like to the point where I wanted to be The Who. I wanted to be in that band. I even dressed like them, like, cause there was like the mod and the rockers thing in the 60s. And from the movie The Kids Are All Right and all that, and I would dress like that and go to school. That's why nobody liked me at school. I was a real outcast at school. Like, everybody thought I was insane. But that was later. So that got me into The Who, which led to this, Quadrophenia, which is another rock opera, which I actually like much better. And again, this is another one of those albums that I would play over and over. And I had a cassette, and I would flip it over and flip it. I think this might have been on 2 cassettes. I can't remember. And once again, you know, you've got to think about the way record companies were. Look, it's a double album. And let's see. Oh, and actually, I wanted to look this up. It was, of course, produced by The Who. And where did they might have done it at Eel Pie Studios. I'm looking it up here. Well, some of it was recorded at the kitchen. Some mobile, Lane's mobile sound. Oh, yeah. And then mixed at Eel Pie Sound, which I think was on like a barge, like a boat in a river. And
interesting.
Yeah.
Eel Pie.
Yeah, Eel Pie. And look at this. The other thing that's interesting is like they got like, I mean, you know, they would spend money on stuff. Like, look, there's a whole booklet here with pictures. You know, it's a story about this guy that is young and he does drugs and he's got like multiple personalities and stuff, and you know, but the album is just incredible. And then when I was working on this mixer here, and you know, I got a video about working on the mixer when I bought this last summer, and I had to take it apart, and it took weeks because I had to clean every channel on here. The 2 albums I listened to over and over again were Alice Cooper's School's Out and this. I probably played this thing, I don't know how many times, because I was in the other room there like cleaning, oh my God, cleaning the potentiometers and the faders for days and days and days, sometimes like for 12-hour days because I had to go through everything on here. So I listened to that, and this thing has popped up in my life over and over and over again. And really, I think just in terms of like melodies and harmonies, and they would do a lot of call and response stuff in their songs where you sing something and then these guys respond. And also, I always felt like Pete Townsend was one of the most underrated guitar players of all time. Like the sounds, he wouldn't do a bunch of fancy stuff. He probably could, but there's just a sound and a rawness to his guitar playing. And also the way he would double his guitar parts with piano parts. And he did that through a lot of their records. And if you listen, even like that song, Who Are You? Who? And there's this dun, 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 dun on piano. He's doubling that on electric guitar. And I don't know, it's just, there's probably a lot of production stuff on here that, you know, I took into my career. And of course, Keith Moon is a drummer. As a drummer, I used to put on headphones and try to play along with records and learn them. And I never could figure out a Keith Moon drum part ever. Like you could listen to it and go, he starts the drum fill here. I could never nail that stuff. It was just all, you know, wacky Keith Moon stuff. All right. And then swinging in the other direction was this. This actually was one of those records that I would say probably affected me without me really realizing it, because I don't even remember. I knew I listened to this and I knew I liked it, but it's not like I was like studying it or anything like that. It was just around the house and I listened to it. So it's like, you know, all these songs from the, you know, the blaxploitation films and all that. And it's got like Shaft and Superfly, and a lot of this is like Isaac Hayes. But a lot of it has to do with the just like the groove and the beat, but the wah-wah pedal. And a lot of the wah-wah pedal parts that were played on these records, these classic records, were Skip Pitts. And this was, I guess these were recorded in Memphis. A lot of them came from Memphis. I actually got to work with Skip Pitts when I was working with Al Capone. Legend. And when Skip Pitts came in the studio, he came in with a guitar and a distortion box and a wah-wah pedal and a couple cables and no amp. And I was like, oh, are you going to use an amp here? He's like, I don't need an amp. And I'm like, what are we going to just plug it into the board? I'm like, this is going to sound like shit, right? So we plug it in, and he had a little delay pedal too. So he had like distortion box, wah-wah pedal, and a delay pedal. So we plug it into the board, and at first I'm like, oh, this is like crap. This is terrible. But the minute he starts playing, you go, oh, that's that sound. that's that sound. And he played all over the record. And later on, I realized that Lindsey Buckingham, on a lot of his records, would do the same thing. Once I heard it, I was like, oh, that sounds like some of the stuff Lindsey Buckingham does. And then I was, for another business deal I had a business, long story I did with somebody else, but we were interviewing people. I actually have an interview with Skip Pitts that we did, like 7 years ago, 8 years ago?
I don't even know how long ago now. Yeah, I was. You said Skip Pitts, and I immediately thought of that interview. It was so cool.
I've got this interview of him right before he died. He was ill at the time, and I probably have the last interview anybody ever did with him, because Al Capone was friends with him, and I got it. I should probably hit up the person that I own this business with and said, hey, because somebody else helped pay for that. It was like there was a weird stuff.
Not to mention, we got a lot of really cool footage of the Memphis Barbecue Festival that year.
Oh yeah. Oh God,
Yeah.
I've got insane amounts.
That was a cool trip. It was a very sensory trip.
It was a
of course,
fun trip. It's just weird to think about some of the weird
the
side
business stuff
tracks
was a
I've
mess.
gone down in my life that you're like, why were we in
Why
Memphis filming
are
a
we
barbecue
here?
festival? Like,
Man, I tell you though, that trip, just the sensory experience of that trip, especially smelling things, because I really remember when we went to that old studio to interview Skip Pitts, and it's like you walked in, and just baked into the walls was the smell of tape and old cigarettes, but not too overpowering.
I
but-
can't remember the
and
name of
all
the producer that
the
did that
electricity
stuff.
of the tubes. I mean, you just could. It just smelled.
Yeah,
like,
it was all old gear. And at that time, I was so in the box. I didn't have hardly any of this gear back then. I was just like, and then that, that kind of was like, oh, I need to look into getting some outboard mic pre's. So this must have been more than 7 years ago because I started buying more mic pre's after that.
Oh wow, yeah.
But this album here, like I said, is one of those ones. And what year is this? This is 1973. Boy, I'm pulling out some oldies here. Trust me, there's a lot of records that influenced me way after that. I just don't have vinyl of them. I'm just showing the vinyl records. But this is one of those things, like, once again, you're listening to music, you're getting into it. It actually really gets in your soul and your mind, and you don't even know it. And then later on, where this came into play for me was when I started doing rap music and I started working on tracks with people, and I'd play guitar. And I'd be doing things that I learned from this album and was inspired from this album that I'd never been able to do anywhere else. And boy, people love that. They're like, you got a wah-wah pedal? And I started doing this stuff, and at that point in time, I didn't know who Skip Pitts was. But I'm literally like channeling the stuff I heard on this record from when I was a kid. So it's like, it's why I always tell people, as you're coming up as a producer and an artist or writer, listen to lots of types of music. Even if you're not sure you necessarily like it at the time, it will get in your psyche and your brain, and it'll get kind of turned into something else that will be very beneficial to you, and it expands your horizons. God, I don't know if I'm going to get through all these albums. Okay, this is a funny one because everybody hates this album. At least most people do. This is Grand Funk Railroad's Survival album. Now, Grand Funk Railroad, they did that song, We're an American Band, produced by Todd Rundgren. And it's kind of funny, like, these people were not necessarily very respected at the time and for years afterwards. I don't know why. I never understood it. But I went back and looked at some footage a couple years ago, and yeah, they're kind of goofy the way they moved around on stage. They're kind of funny, but they had some soul, man. They had some vibe. This record is just considered by a lot like a shitty record. Once again, the drums are all like covered with towels and all that. But oh my God, I have listened to this thing so many times and just love the tones. I'll play a little bit of Country Road because I remember the tone on here to me was like there's this lower mid-range on it, and in many ways it made me think it's like some of the Jimi Hendrix tones, obviously not in the playing, but there's just like this lower mid-range, and I used to be able to get a very similar tone from this PV amp I had, which like an idiot I got rid of. Like some of the older PV amps I could get this tone out of. And so this song's called Country Road, and like I said, I'm going to get copyright claims on this shit, but what the hell. But I love the tone on this guitar.
It is a pretty turntable, isn't it?
It is pretty. Come on, go down. God, it goes down so slow. There it goes. Oh, the distortion on the bass. The bass is so distorted, but it's like there's this lower kind of meanness to it that I can't even. But yeah, that's probably like a bass amp that they were miking. And I love the singing on here. Oh, what year is this? This is where's the damn date on here?
Grand Funk Railroad, what, Survival?
Yeah.
Let me look it up.
Grimy is right. There's actually somewhere on this record where they're having an argument. I think it's here. Hold on. And I remember listening to this, and I'm like, is this what happens in studios? Like, I just thought, I didn't know that much. Don't they just go in and play? And I think, hold on, I think this is it here. Oh, no. Oh, no, but this is cool. A lot of triplet drum fills. And he has a snare drum tuned like a marching snare drum. That's all right. I was muted. I wasn't saying anything important. Hold on. I want to see if I can find this.
Some discussion over on Twitch about how way down in the mid-range the guitars are.
Yeah.
And how and Lisa Chase Wolf comments, you had to go to 90s hardcore punk to hear guitars put that low in mid-range again.
And it's funny. Like, I still like that area a lot. I'm into. Oh, did I turn your mic down?
Oh, I don't know.
You did. I might have bumped it. I got all excited over there. But yeah, it's like on mid-range, man. Mid-range is where the action is at, folks. Like, it's funny how people are scared of mid-range. Like, mid-range is where the shit is at, man. I gotta find. They kind of have a little disagreement here. Maybe I can find it.
Going through these makes me think about. I don't know if y'all have seen. There's a movie called Almost Famous. It's a really good movie.
Oh, I hadn't watched it in a long time. We got the DVD for that.
We have the DVD.
Remember DVDs?
Imagine that, an actual hard copy of a movie.
Keep talking. I got to adjust your camera. It's bugging me.
Okay. But at the beginning, it shows the main character, he sits down to listen to his older sister's albums, and she told him, that it's an experience. You have to sit down and really immerse yourself in it. And he, you see these wonderful shots of him putting the vinyl on the turntable and lighting a candle and opening up the book to look at the pictures. And it's a really cool introduction to the movie and a really cool homage to the album.
Yeah, I mean, we're having an experience here. I'm trying to find the spot here on the record. Hold on. It's. I just want to play it because it was funny to me. Oh my God, I think it might be. Oh shit. Woo! Oh, I forgot about that. Beautiful vocals on here. Let's see, is this it? Nah, this is like a remake of oh man, I'm gonna get some copyright claims on here. Oh no, maybe it's here. Oh, I just want to see if I can't find it soon, I'll move on. What are you laughing at?
Oh, I guess I'll link to the turntables again.
Well, hold on. God dang it.
It's funny, I tried to give you some time to do this by talking about a movie, but you came over here and messed with my camera instead. Boy, that sounded weird.
Boom, 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 boom. Oh, like. I can't find it, man. It's on here somewhere. But anyway, they kind of have an argument, and then they try to do a take, and then it stops, and then they have discussion, and like I said, when I first heard it, it's like, is that what it's like in a studio? Yeah. And while we're grabbing another one, Kit, remind everybody, I just put out a video about the Prince documentary.
Indeed.
Yeah,
I'll
that
throw
back
up
out.
a link to that again. Yeah, Billy just did a new YouTube video. Y'all make sure to check it out. It's about this cool documentary that was made that we won't ever get to see if Netflix and the Prince estate have their way with it. So it's a really neat video that Billy did. Make sure to check it out. Also, while I'm on the screen here, make sure to hit like. Hit like on the video over on YouTube. Make sure that you're subscribed. Share the videos. Over on Twitch, make sure that you follow us, and on both platforms, make sure your notifications are turned on so you know when Billy goes live or has a new video.
Oh, thanks, Sound of Stereo. Appreciate that. Next on the list, God, I don't know if I'm going to get through all these albums. Come on. What do I need to say? Do I need to say anything else about this? This is Stevie Wonder's Songs in the Key of Life. I mean,
Masterpiece.
Hey, Kit, remember that trip we went on? Your head.
Yes.
We went on a trip, and we had the kids in the van, and we were going to a music festival in Virginia, the Festy. It was the String Dusters Festival.
I'm actually wearing a Festy shirt.
Oh, you are?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Look at that. And
wrong side.
I took a wrong turn, like instead of, because it was in Virginia, and instead of kind of going up kind of straight more, because they were near.
Some of the highways are a little confusing.
I think we were listening to music. I went on the wrong side of the Blue Ridge Mountains. So I'm driving along, and the only thing that kept me in, I'm looking around like, should we be going uphill? And I'm looking at the rock formations. I'm like, these rocks seem like Tennessee, not Virginia.
It was the rocks that clued us in.
Yeah, like rocks in Tennessee. So, this was back before I had like a smartphone.
Yeah, so we were using a paper atlas.
So there's this thing called maps. So we hadn't been looking at the maps because we were listening to music, and we ended up like on the wrong side of the Blue Ridge Mountains. And then so late at night, we had to come over the mountain. I think we drove an extra 3 or 4 hours. But the funny thing was, I would normally be just hooting and hollering and mad, but we were listening to this album I think we listened to this album multiple times.
We did, and I mean, we also listened to the one with is it Golden Lady?
Oh yeah.
So we just Stevie Wondered it the whole time,
over and over again, and I had such a good time. I just remember as we were like that last hour getting towards the festival, we had to come over the Blue Ridge Parkway, and it was foggy, and I was so ready to get there. But in the last 30 minutes, I remember just thinking like, God, we're going to get there. We're going to have to set up camp and talk to people and all that. And, you know, but, and it's like, can we just keep driving? And you were like, no, we need to stop.
Yeah, we really
but
did.
yeah, but like listening to this album, it was all right. It was all right. And the thing, I think probably on this album, God, it was just on the tip of my tongue, the one that Stevie Wonder did. But he played, like Prince, he played a lot of his own instruments and would just do stuff. And the thing that's interesting about a lot of these songs is like the way they just wove in and out of each other. And this has got Sir Duke on it. And it's just, oh my God. Yeah, the album I'm thinking about had that song, Living for the City. I don't think it's on this album. But this one was just like, you know, massively influential on me. And once again, look at this. You know, it had a booklet and all the lyrics. And I mean, look, come on, man. Like record labels used to spend money on this stuff. This is 1976. And you got to keep in mind, like, I got a lot of these records from my brother. So it's not like I was listening in the years that they came out. Some of these records didn't really affect. I probably didn't really get into this record into the 80s. I just wouldn't have. I mean, I knew Stevie Wonder was, but things came to me kind of in a weird order. But I think with this, a lot of it's just kind of like the drumming, the vocals, and the way that it's almost like jazz, almost like in a way like New Orleans jazz, where like if you listen to a lot of Stevie Wonder songs, especially the older ones, he'd be singing and there's a melody over here on a synthesizer just doing something here, and then there's a guitar, another synthesizer over here doing something completely different, but it's like this weave of things that just kind of came in and out, and just, you know, very free-flowing, but huge album for me. Now, I wouldn't say this one changed my life, but always loved Jefferson Starship. And, you know, they were called Jefferson Airplane, then they became Jefferson Starship, then they became Starship. They're one of these bands that people like to hate because they would change up their sound, and then they got really commercial for a while and had big hits. And I was kind of like, hey, man, let them have their hits. They've worked for years. I was always a huge Grace Slick fan. I just love Grace Slick. But the thing about this album in particular is the song, what is it called again? It's called With Your Love. Oh, no, is it With Your Love? Yeah, and I mean, I don't know, actually all of these. I mean, I can't say that this was one that, like, I don't even know how to say it. I just listened to this a lot. I don't know how to say it. And it probably affected me in a lot of ways. But just love, I think a lot of the thing with them, I will say this about their songs. Because they had two lead singers in the group, and the way they would sing together and the way they would stack their vocals, there was this looseness to it that I really, really liked. They would do these things with these, I guess, group vocals. I don't even know how to describe it. It was like they're kind of doubling, but they're kind of harmonies too. Especially on that song, oh my God, I can't remember it now.
Should you just play it?
Nah, I'm already got enough damn copyright stuff.
Okay.
I'm gonna get shut down. All right, I'm gonna show these three records at the same time because I can't think of any order, but not just the records and the music, but who made them. You got. Here we go. Utopia. So this was Todd Rundgren's group, and this one's live. Actually, I think this was recorded in Atlanta, at the Fox, and this was 1974. And then we've got, of course, Raw, another Utopia record, and this is like Todd Rundgren's group as well. And this one is you know, sometimes they put the date. Hold on, I got to pull out the record and look at it. And there's some interesting things about each of these, and I'm going to tell you in a second. Hold on. This one is 77. And of course, these were all my brother's records. I didn't buy, most of these records on here I did not buy. When my brother went to college and he got really religious, he just left all his records behind, and I'd been listening to them anyway, so I just kind of commandeered them. But once again, it's like, this is stuff I listened to years later. Like, I really got into them years later. And then this record, which has been considered by, you know, like Rolling Stone, greatest albums of all time, and rock albums, this is over and over and over considered one of the greatest rock records of all time. And it's Todd, this is just Todd Rundgren on his own. And, you know, Todd Rundgren produced Bad Outta Hell for Meatloaf and Grand Funk Railroad and stuff like that. And actually, Todd Rundgren, he had that song, Hello, It's Me. He played most of the instruments on there. And it was actually because of Todd Rundgren that I started thinking about, like, buying recording equipment. Because I was playing guitar and learning how to play and all that. And I was at, like, this youth church meeting, even though I didn't, you know, wasn't really into church. I played in a church band, so I had a gig. But they had these youth meetings, and with, you know, younger couples in the church, and there's just one couple that was as cool as hell, and the guy had a band, and I remember he took me into his basement, and showed me where they rehearse. And it was the first time I'd been in a room like, oh, these guys are like really a band. I don't know if maybe they did cover gigs or something, like there was drums and an organ and all that, and they had some sort of little synthesizer. And he played me some Todd Rundgren and explained to me, oh, he recorded all the instruments himself. I'm like, how's that possible? And he explained, well, there's these machines, you know, multi-track machines, which is why probably 2 years later, I got a job at a Captain D's and construction site and borrowed $800 from a bank, got my parents to co-sign a loan when I was like 15 and spent $800 on a 4-track reel-to-reel because I wanted to be like Todd Rundgren. Now, what's important about these records, I mean, this one's just a classic. It's just amazing. And he does like covers of like old like 50s songs and all that. But for me, these albums, this live album is just the musicianship and all that is just incredible. And there's a song on here, I think it's called The Icon. And they do this thing where they're doing solos, right? They go around and everybody does like, because they had like what, God, look at this picture here. I don't know how well you can see it. I mean, come on, man. Look, the lights are shining through their hair. Look at that. They look cool. Todd Rundgren doesn't even have a shirt on. Man, come on. Like, look how cool they look. But it's like, it's like Todd on bass. No, Todd on guitar. He's got Chasm Sultan. Is that his name? Oh, no, actually. Oh, this is before he was in the band. Oh, it's John Siegler. Okay, this was before Chasm got in the band. But anyway, they would go around. Oh, so he's got like, oh my God, he's got 3 keyboardists. So he's got 3 keyboardists, bassist, him on guitar, and a drummer, right? They go around and everybody does like a 16-bar solo, right? They go around again. And somebody had to point this out to me. They go and everybody does an 8-bar solo. Then they go around and then everybody does a 4-bar solo. Then they go around and everybody does a 2-bar solo. And then they go around and everybody does, and they get to the point where everybody plays one note. It's like, and then they move on. I'm like, how did you guys figure that out? But just an amazing, amazing live album. So yeah, and then the next one, this is Utopia. No, this is Raw. And I think this is the one that had the was this? Oh yeah, this one has the Electrified Fairy Tale. So it's like, you know, this is like 70s stuff. This one is oh, did I say the date on this one? This was like what did I say? 77. Yeah, 77. Back, you know, and like The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings were really popular. And Todd Rundgren, of course, produced all this stuff and probably recorded it too. And so they had like one whole part of the album is like this Electrified Fairy Tale, and they tell this story about this glass guitar, and they got to get these keys to get the glass guitar, and they got to smash the glass guitar to stop this evil whatever. But there's a song on here called Raw. Raw, raw, raw. And all right, I'm going to play the beginning of it. Man, I'm going to get some copyright claims here. No, but I got to play the beginning of this song. I mean, swear.
You know. This
is like, to me, like this makes me clench my teeth to the point I'm going to break some teeth. They also got a song called Hiroshima about the bombing of Hiroshima. But yeah, I'll play the beginning.
So it's a treat.
I ain't gonna
y'all.
make any money off this video because.
You live stream folks actually get to hear some of the pieces of these albums.
All right, here we
we'll
go.
Probably have to edit a lot of this out later.
We'll see if editing.
If you bother.
Man, editing the videos online is like.
Right.
Come on, but I just gotta like this is important, man. So there's like this whole overture. They call it the overture. I'd probably listened to this record 1.5 million times. My God, the needle goes down so slowly. Oh,
It's part of the production. Oh, this.
there's a. Oh boy.
Uh-oh.
There's a bump on the record. All right. Hopefully it gets better. Oh, here it goes. I think we're past the bump. Here it goes. What kind of chords are those? What kind of guitar sound is that? And it's like cool. They go into like they skip a couple bars there, and the next time they do it, they continue the chorus. Ah, the harmonies. Here it comes. Oh my God, this is just amazing. Here he's like doing that whammy big bar on the guitar, and there's just stuff that's out of tune. It's just like. One of the greatest guitarists ever. Utopia. Woo! And the drums aren't totally muffled. There's actually tone on them, and I think a little coursing or flange on the toms. Yeah, I didn't mean to play the whole song, but I just kind of got carried away. But yeah, what I was saying is, the toms actually the toms to me on that sound a lot of like the way the toms on the Queen records sounded from that era and a little after, where there's like, they're not totally ringy, but there's definitely some sustain there, and there's like this wetness on them that back then when things people would do is they would put coursing or flange on the toms, which isn't a great effect. But yeah, that's Utopia. Somebody was asking what's the band. Yeah, Dirty Gems. You never would have heard of this band, Dirty Germs. As a band, Utopia never had any big hits. Todd Rundgren had hits. This was his band. And Todd Rundgren, is a great producer. He's still around and, still doing stuff. And he produced a lot of big hits for people and all that, and then his own records, and he had like his own hits. But this band was kind of like his pet project, and the records were just absolutely incredible. Oh, and my brother got to go to see them in concert once again. I couldn't go. I was too young, or maybe it would have been something where my brother didn't want me tagging along. But he said they actually had a pyramid on stage. And he would run up this, it was like a steel pyramid, and he'd run up there and play guitar on top of it. And I was like so damn jealous, man. Like, but that record, oh my God.
Abdi was curious, do you have any theories as to what kind of synths they were using, especially in the beginning?
I mean, probably like Moogs and stuff like that, or an ARP 2600. I wonder if they say it. Good question. I mean, it's not like there were a lot back then. And they probably had some boutique ones. Let's see. Good question. Of course, the text on here all looks like something from Lord of the Rings. It looks like a wizard wrote it. I can't even read this crap. Oh, and somebody was saying they wish I could speak English.
No. That was a comment. Don't worry about it.
Okay. Am I talking weird again?
It wasn't directed at you.
Oh. I thought everything was about me. God, you know what? Good question. No. That's. You know what? I don't know, man. We'll talk.
I'll poke around on the internet, see if I find.
Hey,
something.
next time we talk, Abdi, Abdi, I said it right this
That's
time.
Right.
We'll look into that. But yeah, I mean, sorry, I got a little excited there, folks. I hope I didn't freak anybody out. All right, now these two. I know I'm all over the place, but this is how I am. Okay, these two records. This is Van Halen. I think it's the first two albums, produced by Ted Templeton, who also did Doobie Brother records. So like this one is this is 78, and this is the second one is 79. So I think these are the first two. I got to see. I didn't know much about Van Halen, right? I'd heard their song on the radio. I think it was You Really Got Me? Was that the first one? I think that was the first big single. my brother was going to college in Tennessee at the University of Tennessee, and I went up to visit him, which was, if my parents had any idea what we were doing. But my brother said, hey, I got tickets to this band Van Halen. I was like, oh, yeah, I've heard him on the radio. So it was small. It was like a Coliseum. So like maybe, I don't know, like maybe 10,000 people, maybe 7,000. I mean, it wasn't that big. And they were incredible. I mean, and guys, you got to realize this was before backing tracks and stuff. It was just the three of them on stage and the harmonies and the show. And like David Lee Roth could really jump that high. And they just, the lighting, and they had all these flashy clothes on and the cool looking shoes. And they're just, and I just remember watching that going like, what did I just see? So anyway, I got into the albums, and what's interesting about these albums is they're actually very basic. There's not a whole lot of like overdubs and stuff. It's the band playing. And sometimes if you listen to some of these, you'll hear it like you'll have drums and then bass is kind of to one side and guitars to one side. And sometimes they would pan the reverb from the guitar a little to the right. But oh my God. And it's like you never really think about it. Like when you have a really great band and great musicianship, and you've got like a nice, good sound, just like a nice full sound, that's all you need. And there's parts where he's doing a solo, and I think maybe there's like a little extra guitar in the background, but sometimes there's not. It's literally just, it's just the three of them playing. And I remember I was really young and I was starting to record and listening to these because, you know, I'm the guy who's always like doing a million overdubs. And I'm listening to this and going like, I don't know if I can do that. Like you have to be really good to pull that off. But it was very inspirational for me to think about like, okay, we don't have to do that. And also like the idea of like putting the guitar on one side and panning its reverb to the other side. I just really like these albums. And once again, cool pictures. You know, when you would like listen to a record, you could like have cool pictures to look at. And I always thought like, well, someday I'm going to have a band and, you know, maybe they'll take pictures of me. I never got that many cool pictures, but it's kind of interesting. I was looking at this last night and I'm thinking like, okay, there's Eddie Van Halen, right? There's a bunch of pictures of him. Dave Anthony. Dave Anthony? Is that his name? God.
No,
Wait.
Dave Anthony is the drummer.
Wait a sec. I'm freaking out here. Do they both have the same name? I never really thought about it.
I don't know.
Michael Anthony. Sorry, Michael Anthony. I'm thinking of someone else. And then, of course, you've got like there's Alex Van Halen on drums. Yeah, it's all them. But you look at David Lee Roth, and it's him and a bunch of nurses. And I don't care what anybody says, man. I love David Lee Roth's singers. He might not have been like able to do like the vocal gymnastics that what's his name would do. I never really liked that guy anyway. But David Lee Roth had a sound and a style, and I felt like he had soul. Plus, look at that. Who can bend over that far backwards? You know, maybe he fell after the picture happened. But anyway, big records for me. Of course, I never could figure out how to play any of those guitar parts. I might skip a couple here. I'm going to have to skip a couple. Oh, yeah. I literally going to have to skip some records. And I thought I was paring it down. It's kind of interesting. Records that affected my life. And it's like, oh, there's like a million of them. Okay, so I was talking about this earlier because I just put out the Prince video today. And Kit, can you put up a link again and like, please watch my video?
I'll totally put up a link
and
as soon
that's
as my
kind of why
computer
I am
quits
doing this
freaking out.
today because in the oh, sorry, did I talk over you?
Yes.
Sorry, honey.
It's fine.
Go ahead, honey.
Oh, never mind. My computer's freaking out. But
Oh, her computer. Well, the hell with it then.
yes,
Okay, bye.
I'm getting there.
So anyway, I was, I won't be kidding. Because I was working on this video about Prince and the 9-hour documentary that they've canceled, which is killing me. So as I'm working on the video, I was looking for my Purple Rain album, which I can't find. And I actually found, I've got a bunch of other Prince records, but these two in particular, I found. And then looking through all the albums, I found all these other ones. I thought, well, I'm going to do a live stream about them. But this is the first, I think this is the first Prince record here. This is, no, wait, what year? God. I got this because I was in a band It's funny, when I was in high school, I was in a band, like I was 16 and 17 years old, and everybody in the band was like that age, except for a 30-year-old man, this black guy from South Atlanta, which freaked our parents out. I don't know why he was in a band with us, but, this is 79. So he told me about Prince, and I'd heard the song on the radio, so I went and got it, and I remember thinking, like, I was such a prude, why is he naked on the horse? What's he doing? What's going on? But I liked it, and I really got into it. And there's a song, I Want to Be Your Lover, da-da-da-da-da-da. And, Prince produced all his own records and stuff, and I knew that. He was like, playing all the instruments and all that. I remember listening to the I Want to Be Your Lover and thinking like, oh, there should have been an extra kick hit there. And it's the first time I ever, not that I'm questioning Prince, but I remember first time I ever listening to a record and going, oh, you could have done this or that, right? But it's kind of hard to argue with Prince. He knew what the hell he was doing. And then this other one here, this is Prince and the Revolution Parade album. And this has got that song Kiss on it. I remember I was in a band, I was in this cover band, and we were just driving around the Southeast and playing at like a Holiday Inn lounge in, Waycross, Georgia. We're talking like early, like 83 or something like that, 84. And I'm in a van and we're playing literally like lounges at cheap hotels in small towns. I mean, my God, I just wanted to get out of the house, right? And I was at a rehearsal and I was coming home and I heard this on the radio and I was kind of like, I don't even know how to say it. I was kind of like, oh, why does it sound like that? Why do the drums sound that way? And just, I don't know, his records always just sounded really weird. And at first I hated it, even though I like Prince. I hated this record. And then over time you go, oh, I get what he's doing. But it's probably, of all the songs I've ever heard in my life, a song that you change your opinion about and the artist. I hated Kiss. I was like mad about it. I was like, what is he doing? This sucks. Now you listen to it and you go, well, duh, it's genius. But that's what Prince did. He challenged people in so many ways. He would do things that, we didn't understand, and he had a vision and he didn't give a damn shit about it. And he wasn't like second guessing stuff. And that was the other thing, to like stick to your artistic vision, and that's one of the big things that I got from him, is just like knowing, like, if you know you like it, stick to it. And if you stick to it long enough, people eventually come around. Oh my God, there's just too many. There's too many. Oh, okay. I'm not going to be able to get through all the records. All right, this is actually a collection of records here. Really, really important here for me. As a matter of fact, it's so important, I have two of these. I don't know why. I have two of these. Wired, and there's more. These are the only ones I have vinyl for. What is this? Oh, yeah, Blow by Blow. And, of course, There and Back. Which, the thing that gets me about the way the business is, this album, There and Back, by Jeff Beck, had, what was the name of the song? It was it Star Cycle, or it might have been Space Boogie. One of these they actually were playing on the radio. And I remember buying this record. I went down to Perimeter Mall in Georgia. It's north of Atlanta. And I was kind of buzzed. I was kind of high. And I went in there and I couldn't find the album. I knew it was there. And how can you miss it, right? And I go up to the counter and I'm like, do you guys have the new Jeff Beck record? And he just points like literally behind him. And there's this massive wall. And then these little shelves. And there's like 50 of these or 60 of these just all lined up. Jeff Beck, Jeff Beck, Jeff Beck. I'm like, oh, duh, yeah. So I bought it. But yeah, they used to actually play some of this stuff on the radio. And to me, Jeff Beck is like one of my favorite guitarists. And I spent hours and hours like learning how to play. I think it was which album? There was one album I literally went through the whole album. Not that I could ever play like Jeff Beck, but I could play the parts as well as I could play them. And I learned one whole album. I would spend so much time going through it, and I can't remember which one it was now. Oh, yeah, it's this one. Yeah. So this one, I went through this whole album and learned everything on it, you know? And probably one of the biggest compliments I ever got in my life was I was playing in Atlanta in one of my groups, and there's a guitarist named Tinsley Ellis who's a blues player, and he's kind of renowned, and he would stop in this bar for a drink sometimes, and he saw us play. And we were like doing like pop songs, right? And he came up one time and said, hey, it's really good, I like your guitar playing. The next time he saw me, he came over and said, hey, I like your guitar playing. Kind of reminds me of Jeff Beck. And I was like, oh, man. Oh, man. Oh, my God. But one of the things I like about Jeff Beck, besides just his playing, especially the production on this record, it sounds very live. You can actually hear sections where he's going between two different phrases, and you can hear him switch the pickup. You hear the click, and you hear the sound, and you hear it kind of make a sound in the reverb on the amp. To me, it just you know, it just made it feel very, very live. But yeah, just huge for me.
Every time I think about Jeff Beck, I think about that guitar trip we had. We were driving around Hot Springs, and for some reason that album, which album is it that we...
Oh, I don't know.
It played over and over and over
again
again in my
that we
head.
just play over and over again. I can't remember.
Well, I mean, it was in my head because we weren't listening while on the motorcycle. But yeah,
we were on the motorcycle. It was in your head.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So I always associate it now with the roads around Hot Springs in North Carolina.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. There's just too many records to go through in the amount I have on the stream.
Yeah, Tylo asked how many you stuck on the couch.
Too many, and I've got more. Okay. This, and actually it's not just this album, because I think is this like an actual album, or is this like greatest hits? Because there's so many songs on here I recognize. But anyway, this is Earth, Wind, and Fire's Gratitude. And this is the only Earth, Wind, and Fire album I have. I could probably pull out all of them. Earth, Wind, and Fire, just, you know, what else do I got to say? I mean, they're just amazing. The arrangements, the performance, the vocals, really inspired by the vocals. A lot of it's just because of high singing. I sing very high, and I sing in falsetto a lot. That's why I like Prince. But, you know, of course, they had, oh, my God, the guy that sang high, Bailey. God, his name went out of my head. What is it? Actually, there's two albums in here. Hold on. God, Without Sleeves. Oh, my God. This is terrible. This was, I don't see the date on here. Oh, this is 75, but I probably didn't even really get into this stuff till 85, like 10 years later. And, yeah, this is a double. Wait a sec. Oh, wow. Okay, hold on. Oh, yeah, this is a double album. But to me, the thing with this was kind of like, that really inspired me was songwriting, rhythm, vibe, dual guitar parts, where you could hear two guitar parts and they weren't like all synced up. They kind of flammed a little bit, and there was like a vibe there. But, you know, this has got like Sing a Song, Gratitude, Celebrate, You Can't Hide, Sunshine, Shining Star, oh my God. I can't read some of this on here. Sun Goddess, Devotion, say Africano, Power Medley, and Yearnin' Learnin'. But, I mean, you could just take any Earth, Wind, and Fire record. And I got to work with Morris Pleasure, who is not an original member, but he played with Earth, Wind, and Fire for years and was their musical director and played bass and keyboards with them, and, you know, had some interesting stories. Okay, next is ZZ Top. Some of the greatest players ever, like legendary band. Guitar tones, right? And this is probably actually not like considered a classic. I think actually a lot of people actually hated this record, but well, of course, this had Cheap Sunglasses on it, and which was that was a big hit. Now, what's interesting about this one is I was in a band, and I was actually a sound man. I did sound on the road for like a few months and then ran screaming away. I'm never going to do that. But I was running sound for a band, and we're in Houston, and there was another sound man that would sometimes work this club, and he came in. He was an older guy and gave me some advice. He said that he knew the guys from ZZ Top, and I used to travel around when I was touring with bands. I had an actual record player that I took with me. This is back before, I don't know why I took records. Actually, we had a truck, so there was room. So I brought a whole stereo system with me everywhere, and so I had my records. And he claims, I wasn't there, that he took this out and got this autographed by Dusty Hill. So that's supposedly Dusty Hill's autograph. This is about the same time that one of those guys shot himself in the foot accidentally in his car when he had it because he had a gun stuck in his boot. I don't know if it was Dusty or not, but I'll believe him that that's actually the autograph. But I was like, with these guys, these are songs that we played, a lot of ZZ Tops. Everybody had to learn LaGrange, so we played all that stuff. But to me, like, this is like Van Halen. This is a band to me that's like Van Halen. Like, you didn't need a lot of stuff. It was like drums, bass, guitar, and drums, bass, and guitar, and vocals. And these guys, if you can find footage of them into old age, like when they're really old men, and they're still absolutely tearing it up and amazing, Also, I think that, oh my God, I forget all their names. Who played guitar again? That was Billy Gibbons. So he would play guitar with a peso, is what I understood. Like, it's kind of like, it's got like on the edge of the coin, it's got a ridge. So he would use that for tone, to get a sound. Next up is, of course, the Police, and huge Police fan. And once again, a similar type thing, like a three-piece group, a level of musicianship that didn't require a lot of overdubbing. Even though they would do stuff in the studio. At its core, just great musicianship. And this was like, a big deal for me, just because it's a band, like it's an actual band. It's like you can clearly hear the three parts playing. And there's a picture here I want to point out that Stuart Copeland's playing drums. It looks like they're miking the toms with a U87. I would be scared to do that. I guess if you got the money, But look at that. This is something that you would see on older records sometimes. People would use U87s. I mean, I only have one U87, but if I was really rich and I had a bunch of them, I guess I'd try them on toms. But look at that, But I love this album. Absolutely love this album. Let's see. I don't know. I probably need to end the stream here soon because I actually need to move on to another video. I'm not sure if there's any other, there's a lot of other records. I'll just show them all real quick. I won't get too into them. Oh, wait. Oh, no, there's one more. There's one more I got to really talk about here. Hold on. Oh, my God. This is never going to end. Okay. This is Pat Metheny and Lyle Mays. As Wichita Falls, so falls Wichita Falls. I think I only bought this record because of the title. I just thought, like, wait, what? So falls Wichita Falls. So as falls Wichita Falls, so falls Wichita Falls. So I got this, and it's actually not the kind of thing I normally listen to, but for me, and I would take this on the road with me when I was touring, and I had that stereo system, and the thing I would do, my whole like, routine is when we'd get to a new town, I would, we'd load out the truck and load into the club. I'd go up to my hotel room. The first thing I always did was set up my stereo. Sometimes I even toured with my big old reel-to-reel 4-track because we had room, right? I would set up the stereo. I would get in the bathtub in the hotel room and listen to this album. That was my thing. Just after a long, however long the trip was to whatever town we were in. This was my like, okay, I can relax now album. Not that I can't say it necessarily like affected me, but it was a big part of my life. I mean, it probably did, and I don't know. Actually, I haven't listened to this in a really long time, so I think I'm going to listen to it and try to remember, like, now I bet if I put this on, I'll hear something, and I go, oh.
Tap might enjoy listening to that, too, because...
yeah, Tap's into jazz and stuff,
Okay,
I'm just going to do a quick show the rest of the albums here. I'll be here for another, Roth Loaf is saying that Pat Metheny May's album changed improv music, kind of opened up jazz. Oh, that's interesting to know. I mean, I didn't know. It's kind of interesting that you say that. There's these things like that happen to music, and people are like, this album did this. It's like, I don't know. I just liked it. Sometimes I'm not really necessarily always connected to what the culture likes, or why it's significant. I just like it, Okay, we're going to do some quick mentions here because I never ate lunch and I'm really hungry and my stomach's growling. And I didn't really sleep much last night. I was so stressed out because I was trying to get the video done, which, by the way, once again, I put out a new video about Prince. So, Kit, please put the link up there. But here, okay, quick mentions, obviously. Come on. Boston, back in the day, this was considered very uncool to like. Not by me. I always loved this. But as somebody in the music industry and guitar player, you're supposed to hate these guys. Here's what gets me about it. People call this corporate rock. It's anything but corporate rock. I mean, yeah, it was like a big record label thing. The guy recorded this in his freaking basement, man. This was done in a basement with freaking low ceilings, in his little basement. This is like literally home studio recording. Of course, he is a genius. So it's like, oh, I don't like the drum sounds. Oh my God. Now people are like, they do videos of certain very famous YouTube guys talk about how much they like this band, which is a bunch of shit because I heard these people say how much this band sucked and how much it was crap, and now they're making freaking videos about it. Give me a fucking break. I was like, I love Boston. No, Boston sucks. You shouldn't listen to that. I'm like, hey, let's make a YouTube video about, I loved them. Right, shut the hell up. Anyway, obviously, yes, Queen. Yep. News of the World. I remember looking at this album cover and it kind of freaking me out. I'm like, oh my God, I hope there's not literally robots like that. I literally, this thing kind of scared me. I used to get freaked out about things. Come on, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. This album it's interesting in a lot of ways because it's produced by Tom Petty and Jimi Iovine, and this is 1979. This was another one of those albums that, from what I understand, was like a make it or break it type thing. They had, if this didn't work, they were done, and boy, did it work. Plus, Jimi Iovine, I think, was just getting into production, and I can't remember the story about why he produced this or how he got into it. But this was like, I listened to this so many times, and actually, when I was in a cover band and we were touring, we did a cover of Here Comes My Girl, and I sang that and met this girl that I fell in love with while singing that song. She walked in and I saw her and I thought, oh, it must be fate. I'm singing that song and then this girl walks in and we have a relationship, and because of the song, I guess I thought it was fate. It just ended up being a nightmare, but it's fun for a while. Cool pictures again. Look at this. That's another thing. Once again, I would sit here and listen to this and just stare at the pictures and be like, oh, someday. But yeah, and I also like the idea of just damn the Torpedoes. Like we're just moving ahead and we're just doing our thing. Actually I have two of these albums. I would like to mention Bread, right? Mainly because of David Gates, great songwriter. And they had a lot of hits, and probably a lot of people don't know who this is. They're really huge, and the pictures are all right. But mainly the thing with Bread is like the songs are masterful. And I remember reading an interview with him, and he said if he's writing lyrics, if he can take out a word and it doesn't change the meaning, he takes it out. And that got me thinking, because I'm all about excess. I'm always like doing too much stuff in the songs. I'm adding too many things. There's too many instruments. Like my lyrics are too wordy, and it got me thinking about like, oh, maybe I just need to like try to make things more plain and straightforward, because his lyrics are great, but they're not complicated. Because I'm there with a thesaurus and I'm looking up these fancy words and I'm like, yeah, these are great lyrics. And I was like, what do you mean? What are you talking about? It's like, oh well, read a thesaurus. But yeah, this album, great songwriting. of course, Rush. Come on, come on, come on. I'd also like to point out, once again, look what he's miking that tom with. Looks like a U87 or something. Maybe it's a
I
U67.
didn't realize this was going to be a thing. U87s on drums.
Hey, when you got a budget, and plus if you're Neil Peart, you're probably not going to accidentally hit the mic. Just saying. I've been working with people that sometimes their accuracy is not good, and they hit my 421s. That's fine. A 421 can take it, but I don't want anybody hitting my Neumanns. But look at that. But this is such a great album. I'm was not such a fan of the later Rush stuff, but from this era, oh my God! And a lot of this stuff was recorded at a studio that had one of the early SSLs that Paul Diaz at Tree Sound later bought. And I got to record and mix one of my albums through that, not knowing that some Rush stuff had been done on that same SSL. So there's like magic in those circuits. And it was, I found out because I was using a Rush song as a reference one time, and Paul walks in and goes, "Oh, you know that song was mixed on this album." I'm like, "What?" So I'm like referencing something that was mixed on that album to mix my album. Not that my album sounded any near that good, but Talking Heads, of course. Just, come on. Pop, experimental, cool rhythms. Now, I'm actually a big Bruce Springsteen fan. And it's funny because I catch hell from certain people. I actually got in an argument with my stepson about Bruce Springsteen. He hates Bruce Springsteen. I felt like kind of, shocked by it. Like, how dare you say that? But for me, the thing with Bruce Springsteen, there's a song on here called Candy's Room. I don't think it was a single, but to me, it's like literally my favorite Bruce Springsteen song. And it's about a prostitute. And I liked this album. This is actually one of my favorite Bruce Springsteen albums. Just absolutely love it, but especially because of Candy's Room. Just incredible. I always wanted to sing like Bruce Springsteen, but I just, I don't have that kind of chest. Like, I'm up here. I've got this mid-range voice. Come on. Look at this. Born to Run. Now, what I like about Born to Run, a lot of power on this album. What I read was that, this is back in the days of, what year was this? This was 75. There weren't a lot of tracks. So a lot of times when you were recording, you would have your bass and rhythm guitar and organ or whatever, and they're on a bunch of tracks. And to make room on more tracks, you would record them all down to 2 tracks. You would call bouncing down, and then you'd record over those tracks. And on the making of this album, the label wanted to change some stuff, but a lot of it was baked in. They couldn't change the mixes, and they complained about it. But it's like, to me, the sound of this album is so powerful. It's like lasagna. I always think of music, lasagna, you make it and you stick it in the fridge, and the next day it tastes better. Sometimes music is like that. And to me, a lot of analog stuff is like that you get it on the tape and it's going through a bunch of gear, and then it does something, and you can't change it, but it's just baked in. It's got this power. This album, just powerful, powerful, powerful. George Benson's Breezin'. This has got the Masquerade on it. Really like Breezin'. This is another one of those records that, like the Jeff Beck one, I didn't go through the whole album, but I learned all the guitar solos. Not that I could do it like him, but and this was another album that I took with me when I was touring on the road, and I would listen to in my hotel room. Pretenders, Learning to Crawl, because of the guitar. Once again, guitar playing on here, and it was a band. I love, if you can find videos, especially that song, ba-dum, ban, ba-dum, ban, ba-dum, the reason we're here, every man, every woman, and you can find it, and just the way that they're drumming, they're playing, and it's all just, there's an era, to me, they were kind of not like the Police, but there was something about them that made me think of the Police, kind of the guitar sounds, but just the, great parts are just plain. It's not like, oh, we overdubbed the stuff and kind of put all this together. It's it's just great. And then Chrissie Hynde singing. Love her singing, love her vibrato. Just amazing. Actually, I have 2 of these. And these are in the pile. Actually, I showed these earlier. I have 2 of these. And I just wanted to show them again because they're important. And they're important to me at different points in my life. So I think that's all my albums, my vinyl albums, there's other records, of course, but all the vinyl albums I could find that were big parts of my life and that really affected me. And I pulled them out because I was working on that Prince video, and I And I got this turntable here, which I guess I should show again, the angel horn turntable that they sent me. And then they sent me last year, and I was like, yeah, I'll make a video about it. And I never have. I figured today's the only time I played it for like 5 minutes one day. There it is. Cool. Maybe they'll quit bugging me. I mean, I guess I could listen to records more too. But yeah,
We should do that.
we could listen to music. Oh, actually, you know what we got to do though? We got to listen to music because of that video I did.
That's right. Yeah, we've got, of course, we won't be listening to that on vinyl. Yeah, Billy did a video because he did the video, Why Does All Music Today Sound the Same? And then got tons of recommendations of different bands.
Yeah, that one's like over 700, 800,000
It's one of your biggest
views
videos,
or
yeah.
whatever. It's like
and
big.
so many recommendations. So he checked out several of them and then made another video more recently that he said, I was wrong, but he talks about several of the bands that were recommended that Billy discovered.
Yeah, everybody gave me hell about that. Like, whoa, there's good music out there. Why don't you listen to so-and-so? And I did. I actually went and listened, and I made this video. And I was like, oh, wow.
On the comments on that video, we got even more recommendations.
Yeah, here, I'll show you right here. It's this one.
Yeah.
See where it says, I was wrong? So that video, I featured like 7 or 8 bands from that list. There were a lot of them, right? And now that video has an insane amount of people saying, well, then you should listen to this band. And we're like, oh my God. So we're actually going to be going out of town, and Crystal's been making a list of all the groups, and we're going to listen to them. And I think it's going to become a regular series where I feature bands I like that are unknown. Because, I mean, anybody can talk about somebody famous. I guess it's the easier way to get lots of views. But I feel like there's bands out there that are really working and have a lot of value and that are doing things that are unique and pushing the limits, and they deserve attention. So I'm going to be talking about them in the future. But anyway, that was a nice trip down memory lane, and I appreciate everybody hanging out. Chris, I've been talking this whole time. I hadn't really been looking at the comments. Is there anything?
Oh, just a lot of
do I need to say anything?
A lot of conversation about the different albums and how they affected people and the way they sound. Just, a lot of cool conversation going on about the different stuff that you've been talking about.
Yeah. Wait, who was it? Oh yeah, Tyler Production says the Cars also loved and affected him. The Cars. My issue with the Cars, I just didn't like the way Rick Ocasek sang. God, I just never liked it. He's a good singer. I never liked his vocals, but God, the production, I mean, they're amazing. Amazing band, the guitar solos. I always thought, like, I forget the guitar player's name, but his guitar parts were like constructed. They were like, actually, his guitar parts make me think of the guitar parts in 38 Special. And I know that sounds like a stretch, but if you listen to the solos of each of them, the solos it's not like just this guy like, making up some stuff. Like, the solos are like mini songs. They're like this melody where it builds and it goes to this thing and it goes somewhere else. Love the Cars, absolutely. Oh yeah, Trotro is saying Benson Fly By Night. Oh, I thought he was saying Fly By Night. I thought he was referring to Rush. Fly By Night, dope song. Yeah. Yeah. Ruth Loaf says love Chrissy Hind. Yeah, it's the singing on there is just incredible. Let's see. Wait, what is it? Oh, there's comments up here. I don't even know what people are. I'm not sure the revel.
Yeah, you haven't been following the
Yeah,
conversation.
sometimes I see comments and I'm
okay.
like, what the hell are they talking about? Yeah, there was one like last week, and I saw this comment. And I thought it was like this really negative thing, and I asked you about it later, and I'm like, oh no, it was this whole other subject that was going on. I just wasn't paying any attention.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of cool chat about the different songs, and but yeah, we'd have to scroll all the way back through chat.
Yeah. Oh, thanks, Juicy Dry. I really appreciate it.
I do want to say this.
What?
Towards the very beginning of the stream, Tylo was asking about what the song was on the last stream, which I figured out was Hearts Aligned.
Oh, yeah.
And said the way that you have expressed that these albums have affected you, that song has affected them.
Oh, wow. Thank you. Wow, thanks a lot. I really appreciate that. We're going to be working on that again. I've got to have Ansley Stewart come in and put vocals on it. Yeah, that was the one that we did the long live stream Well, actually, there were 2 streams with it. We did the one that was 8.5 hours long with Darren Stanley putting drums on it, and then I went and put guitars on it, and that's going on my album, which I'm working on. I don't sleep much, but I appreciate it. That song's like, thank you so much. That song is like, I feel like really important to me, and it's, you know, about mine and Crystal's whole life and stuff like that, but it kind of brings together a lot of elements of all the things I've learned in music, songwriting-wise, production-wise, playing-wise. So I appreciate that. Let's see. Oh, there was somebody saying... yeah.
Elisa Chase Wolf was saying, I think the album that was the biggest life changer for them was Nectar, Remember the Future.
I don't know what that is.
I wondered.
Nectar.
That's why I brought it up.
Nectar. Hold on.
And then, let's see.
Nectar.
Also, shout out from Underdog for the New Radicals. You get what you give. Oh, yes. Trotro says, can we please appreciate Steely Dan's The Second Arrangement?
Anything Steely Dan is.
I know, right?
Come on, man. Yeah.
Lisa Chase Wolf says it's a 70s German prog rock.
Yeah, I'm looking them up right now. I see them on Wikipedia. Interesting. It's like, it's crazy, the bands. Like, you hear about something, then you start listening to their music, and you look them up, and there's this whole history there, and it's like, wow, like, you know, whole careers and whole things that happen. It's kind of like the thing with Uriah Heep. They were like worldwide famous, and nobody knows who they are now, but they were like all over the world and so influential to me and a lot of other people. And, you know, it's like music, like we do this thing, and you may not ever make any money, but the thing is, like, you could be famous and make a lot of money and travel the world, and then 10 years later, nobody knows who you are. And like, hopefully that you leave this lasting impression. And it's also kind of interesting how some music last. People remember it, like the Beatles and you know, Led Zeppelin and stuff like that, and other groups. And then there's other ones that you're like, people don't really talk about them anymore. And I don't always know why some groups carry on. You know, and what's interesting is like the whole Prince thing. It's like, to me, Prince is still relevant in culture. And I do, you know, everybody knows who Prince is, right? But it's not the same as some other groups. And, you know, as I was working on the video and kind of doing research, and then you're looking up like, you know, keywords and things to help like get views and the algorithm and all that. And like, just based on what I was seeing, based on the software I use and all that, he doesn't get the kind of attention I thought that he would. I don't know why. There's something that's kind of hard to figure out with what is it that people remember and what sticks with them. I don't I know I'm probably gonna catch a lot of hell of this, but I never understood Elvis Presley. Like, I mean, he was good, but like they still talk about him, and people, and I just like, oh, you know, okay, yeah. The weird thing is, he was just kind of copying black music, and actually, you know, there's these things that have come out like about a lot of his singing style. There was a black man that would come in and he would just copy, like the guy would actually sing and show Elvis Presley how to sing that way. I mean, nobody knew that, and it makes sense, you know, but, you know. Are
you?
Troto is saying, Billy, were you impressed by the big punching sound the hip hop produced in D&D Studio had? I'm not sure what that.
The hip hop that was produced in D&D Studio that it had.
I don't know what that means. The D&D Studio. I don't know what that means. I'm not really sure.
Is that? Oh God, it's on the tip of my brain.
I mean, yeah, Elvis was a good singer, great singer. I might have just been one of those things because, you know, by the time I was getting into music, he was like, older people liked him. So it's like, oh, I can't listen to that, you know.
New York hip hop.
Oh, okay. I mean, New York hip hop's a different thing. I mean, that's cool. I mean, I'm a Southerner, so we're into the big booming sound. You know, I often thought about, why did Southern rap develop a different sound? And my theory is that in New York, because you live in apartments and you're walking around, you're wearing headphones and all that, you can't have that low end. Like, your neighbors will complain and you can't get it on the headphones. So they would produce music that works within their environment. In the South, everybody lives further apart. Everybody has cars with big subwoofers in them, and there's space. And you kind of like, you announce that you're coming by the boom coming down the street. And I just always felt like maybe that was why we ended up with a different sound. It was when I got into hip hop, everybody like East Coast and West Coast sound, and there's a Chicago sound. It took me a long time to kind of understand it, but it's interesting to me, like, hip hop and country have these similar things, that it would sound different depending on where you came from in the country. And, like, of course, a lot of people would go to Nashville to record, but there were actually these cultural differences based on the region. And I also thought of country and hip hop as like folk music because it talked about your life in your hometown and stuff like that. Let's see. Well, I guess we should probably end the stream.
This was fun, though.
Yeah, it was fun. Hey, I appreciate everybody watching and, sitting through me going through all my old records and all that. I've got a couple more videos coming out. I did a live stream, I think it was last week, where I talked about what does a producer do, and everybody really liked it. I'm going to do a new version. I was going to edit it, but I'm just going to do a new version of it because there's some other things I wanted to say, and there's some comments people made. I'm actually going to do an actual YouTube video of that. It'll probably be my next one. And then I'm also working on a studio tour video. Everybody's been asking about a studio tour. It's going to be a little bit more involved in that because me being me. So, I started filming that. There's a lot of footage. I at some point I was like, I'm just going to show the room. And they're like, well, let me show this piece of gear. I literally show every piece of gear I have. I realized I forgot to film my DI boxes. I mean, it's like I have DI. I want to talk about my DI boxes. So I have to film those. Like, I might do those later today. But I got to get that one done. So anyway, there's more videos coming on down the line.
So I'll pop in. Don't forget, y'all, hit like on the live stream. Watch the new video, like and share. On YouTube over there, y'all make sure to follow Billy, subscribe, hit the notification button over there on Twitch. Follow us and make sure your notifications are on. Also, not just reminding y'all, if you are into production, recording, mixing techniques, Billy does offer these deep dive live streams where he'll go much more in detail about how he works on certain things. Kind of more almost a private lesson, private class.
Yeah, the last one I did, we do them on Patreon, and I started out like, I'm going to talk about mixing drums. And then it's like usually a small group of people, so I can answer all the questions. And then we spent the whole time just on kick drum. And I felt bad about it. It's like, oh, and everybody loved this. Like, I'm glad that you just talked about kick drum. I was like, oh, I guess.
There's enough that Billy knows that he can pick a very small thing and really go in. That's why it's called a deep dive.
I could talk for hours just about the kick drum.
So if you'd like to learn more, you might want to check out Billy's Patreon. Right now, we're doing it's almost like an introductory thing. So the $10 subscription level and above gets access to these live streams. Now that will get more expensive later, but
yeah, I'm going to do one next couple days. I don't know what I'm going to dive deep into because I'm working on a bunch of different stuff. So, but it'll be a deep dive. And and thanks so much, Tylo and Gabe and PC Warrior Dude, and yeah, I really appreciate it. East Bay Maui Boy. See a lot of people on here. This is great.
Yeah,
Thanks
we
so
love
much.
doing the live streams. It's so much fun with y'all.
It's kind of like everything. It's gotten to the point now where Wednesday, my week revolves around Wednesday.
It's true.
Ready. Boy, you should have seen me this morning. Oh boy. Yeah, I was kind of freaking out.
Things get pushed right up until the last second every week,
yeah,
but
literally. All right, well, everybody, y'all have a good day. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next Wednesday.
See y'all.
Bye. 2, take 3, take 4, take 5, take whatever.